So we were working with a client who had a suite of bow ties for all their critical risks. And this is an example of one of the bow ties. So at first pass, it looks pretty good as we have multiple causal pathways and we've got lots of controls. So the white boxes here, so defense is in depth, and we're not too bad on the consequences, although I would like to see a few more controls mapped out here. And so we're engaged to then have a look at their bow ties, do a review, and move them forwards. And so what we did is we applied some simple tests to their bow ties, or specifically the controls. So one test was, do their controls and critical controls comply, first of all, with the definition of a control? So is it an act, which is a human action? You know, I could videotape through my phone and see someone doing something. Or could it be categorized as an object, which is a physical object, doesn't need someone to do something. So for example, an object could be a fire sprinkler system. Or is it a technological system, which is a combination of both of those, an act and an object? So an example, even though it's very simplistic, is seatbelts. So the seatbelt consists of the reel and clip itself, so that's the object, and then the action is someone needs to wear it, because we know just having a seatbelt doesn't necessarily give you that protection. So can the control be categorized as one of those? And if it can't, then some work needs to be done, or it's not classed as a control. And then we've got some other tests here is, well, is it designed to prevent or mitigate an unwanted event, specific, measurable, and auditable? This is one that we fall down with all the time. The way this thing is described, could I audit that tomorrow? So if I had something that says, perform pre-start, that's not specific, measurable, and auditable. What tool, when do I do it, who needs to be done it, what does good look like, as some examples. And is it defined within the management system? So where we have these controls, are they embedded within the management system? So I could go and read it in the procedure. It's in, for example, the maintenance strategy and those things. So they are some frontline first round tests that we want to do. If we say yes to all of those and it passes that, then another test is around, is it a true control? So what this model here is showing is when we review this, it comes out as a true control as opposed to a support activity or a verification activity, or none of these in relation to this particular thing. And a number of traditional controls don't pass this test. So some examples here are support activities. They are things like education, maintenance. So things like saying people have inductions, people are competent, procedures, saying we've got procedures for that. This model shows that they are not true controls. So they don't necessarily stop this chain of events, sequence of events, or transfer of energy. However, them being there helps the real control or true control. Verification activities. So examples of those are things like monitoring, inspections, checks, reports. Again, they don't stop the chain of events, but can help to monitor the health of the control. So we applied those tests to the traditional bow ties that this organisation had in place. And unfortunately, although not surprisingly, we identified a number of controls which didn't pass these tests. So roughly 1 in 4, maybe 1 in 3 didn't pass these tests. And so obviously then the work was, okay, well, how do we now bring them back up to standard? So for those things that we said didn't pass the test, what do we need to do to upgrade this? Or for some of them that didn't pass the test, do we say, look, let's just take them out because they don't meet any of the tests? And where we want to be is have true line of sight on the true controls for these risks. Okay, thanks for listening. Chat to you later. Bye-bye.